Thank you. I wanted to thank our witnesses for your incredible bravery. I can't even, and as a father, I can't even imagine the trauma that you have gone through. I'm going to ask you to walk with me through some questions. And the reason it's so important is that what we do here as a committee, it's like a court in a way. We gather evidence, and out of the evidence, we can prepare the reports that will go to Parliament, whether or not we need to change laws, whether we need to find out why laws are not being enforced. So your willingness to sort of give me clear and simple answers will help us in our work. Guess number 2, did I hear you correctly that you were 15 or 16 when this began to happen to you?
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah.
Yes. So you were underage. In Canada, under age 18 is non-consensual images. It meets the test of child pornography. When Mr. David Tassilio was at our committee testifying, which is the same as testifying under oath, he was asked the question, what is your opinion of putting the onus on your company to be able to vet from the onset and take away the onus on children? And Mr. Tassilio said, I would never put the onus on children. We put the onus on us. Would you say that in your efforts to get your life back and your private images back, that Pornhub did not tell us the truth? That you were the one who was forced to have the onus of defending and trying to get these horrific images taken down? Yes, is that how you see it?
Yeah, definitely. I had to constantly try and find these videos and images of myself. They had no help whatsoever other than upload them to a third party site.
Thank you for that. I noticed that you said that they are liars. Is that correct? You did say that? Okay.
Yeah.
And guess number 1, you also accused Pornhub of lying. I'm concerned because you're talking about the thumbnail image of your abuse. I don't want to go into the particulars, but is that thumbnail image an image of you without your clothes on?
Yes.
Okay. Under section 162-1 of the Canadian Criminal Code, anyone who knowingly publishes, distributes, transmits, sells, makes available, or advertises an intimate image of a person, knowing that that person depicted in the image did not give their consent to that conduct, is guilty of an offense. So you did not give Pornhub your consent for that personal image that is still up there today?
No, of course not.
Of course not. And you say this is day 1192. I found that very, very moving because it seems to me this ongoing trauma. You did say that Google told you to go take it down yourself, or so Pornhub told you to go to Google to take it down?
Yeah, which in my initial contact form, I had explained to them that I had initially tried just getting it off Google because that works if the content doesn't exist. But Google said they can't do it because the content is still existing and I'd have to contact the web host.
Okay.
So I explained all of that to them.
Do you have you have video or sorry do you have emails with your attempts to deal with Pornhub that you'd be willing to share the committee? We don't make these public. We're just looking to gather the evidence, and I'd ask guests too as well if you have any documentation, because what was really surprising when we had Serena Fleitas, who I thought was a really powerful witness, Pornhub told us they had no record of ever talking to her, and it just didn't seem to add up. So if you have any of that kind of emails, attempts, letters, that would be very helpful. I'm going to turn to Ms. Gailey now because I don't have much time. But we asked Pornhub 2 questions that I think are very, very crucial for your testimony. I asked them in their terms and conditions why people such as yourself who have complaints have to go to Cyprus when this is a company listed in Canada. And he seemed very surprised that I mentioned Cyprus. It seemed like he'd never read his own terms of reference. He's the chief operating, the CEO of the company. He said, "We abide by Canadian laws. There's no need of Cyprus." Um, and then he said he would get back to us on this question through their legal counsel. He says, "But clearly we're in Canada. We abide by Canadian laws." Was that the impression that you were given to them? Like, why did you feel you had to go to Cyprus to get legal justice from Pornhub to get your non-consensual images taken down?
Sure. I actually have a direct email with their legal director who told me exactly where I would have to serve them in Cyprus, that they did not have any registered agent for service of process in the United States. Now, I don't know if they do in Canada, but for the United States where I'm at, no, I have an email, like I said, from their legal director that absolutely said I must serve them in Cyprus.
Okay. You said that you were forced to send pictures of yourself, which I think is incredibly traumatic. And yet we asked about witness Serena Fleitas having to send photographs of herself of a personal nature, and they seemed to be very surprised, and they said that that was against their policy. Would you say that they were telling the truth to our committee or misleading our committee?
They never told me that I had to submit that. It was simply that they did not. They told me that it was a verified model and that the content would not be removed because someone else was claiming it. So it was my own desperation to try to get these videos removed, that I had prepared a PowerPoint presentation, initially for the police department, putting together, matching, like I said, birthmarks and various things that were undeniable, as well as my voice on the videos, in an attempt to try to get them to listen. So they did not ask me personally to send that. I voluntarily did so.
Okay, if you have any emails that you're willing to share with our committee, it'd be helpful. Mr. Chair, would you indulge me would it be possible to ask Mr. Bowie for a clarification here?
If there's no objection from committee members, I will view that as consent from the committee members.
Thank you. Mr. Bowie, I wanted to ask you, because you know a lot more about American law than I do. Pornhub told us that they were really surprised that in their terms of reference, Ms. Gailey had to, or anyone else would have to go to Cyprus to serve them. They say they're listed as a Canadian company. They're very easy to find. What would be the normal procedure for dealing with a complaint like this for a woman, say in Tennessee or any other state in the union, in addressing a company like Pornhub? Why is that provision that they have to go to Cyprus?
Mr. Bowie, are you able to unmute yourself and be able to speak? I don't know if we have that all connected. I'm hoping that we do.
I think I'm up. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can. Yeah, very good.
So we don't think you do need to go to Cyprus. And when we bring claims, we won't be going to Cyprus. However, it brings up an important point, which is beyond the scope of this particular hearing. But this is a company that has an international corporate structure of shell companies that is, if you were teaching a class on tax evasion, money laundering, and shielding, this would be something you would teach if you look at this structure. And the structure is designed to make it hard to know where to sue, hard to know who to sue, and to make it impossible for people who aren't necessarily lawyers who've practiced for 30 years in that type of environment to know where to go. And so, no, we think they are subject to jurisdiction in the U.S. They're subject to jurisdiction in Canada, and that's the. I'll stop at that. I could go on for a while, but this is a structure that is set up that has none of the indicia of a legitimate company.
Thank you very much for that.